the other person. So, it is long story, but I will try to make it short. Found out WW was having an affair with a business partner back in April. I filed in June. We went to mediation and SEPT and agreed on all the major points: house, visitation, and debt. WW then comes back to the house in November and says she does not want to get divorced and wants us to work on our I asked if she left other man and she said yes. Now here is where I did everything wrong. I let her move back in. We spend the holidays days as a family. I never pushed for full access of her email or phone. I talk to my attorney and tell him I want to stop the divorce. He tells me, why you don't wait a couple of months and see how things go. Thank God. I try to talk to her about the tell her I need her support to get over the pain, and all I get is all you ever want to do is talk about. What she does not know is that she syncs her phone to the cloud and I have access to her account. Last week I looked at her pictures and I see pictures she has taken of When she gets home, I ask her if she saw She gets angry and says no, and I cannot keep living like this if you are always going to accuse me of it. I should have just made her leave, but I did not. I decided to put my VAR in her car this past Friday to find out once and for all. When I listened to the recording, I heard her talking to OM and saying that she was angry that I have not stopped the D. The only smart thing I've done. And a lot of I love you baby. I go downstairs, tell her I know she has been lying and that she had to leave. We get into a yelling match and I had to basically push her out the door. When she leaves, I text my attorney to let him know that the R was fake and that we need to go forward with divorce. I go to NC Saturday, even when she texts me. I text her today to say we need to discuss how we are going to tell D about the divorce. We meet at a coffee shop. She sits down and says nothing for a couple of minutes. I then say, how do you want to tell her? She replies, what do you want to tell her? I said, well, I thought our R was real and have had only 2 days to think about. You on the other hand have had this planned out the whole time. After a little back and forth we agree that we'll try to make D know we love her. That this is not her fault and we will try to make the adjustment as easy for her as we can. As I was leaving, I ask her was it worth it? She says nothing for a while and then shakes her no. I ask, then why did you do it? She begins to go into her you know that our marriage was bad. I stop her and say, I will not listen to you try to blame the past for your choice to have an affair. I get up and start walking out, her following behind me. As I get into my car she asks if she calls will I pick up. I say if it is about our D or the divorce, then I will speak to her. She says of course that is what I meant. This woman has zero remorse, does not care that she has broken up our family. Some info on the he's married, has 3 kids all under 2. I have not exposed yet. A couple of months back it was because my attorney wants to dispose wife. And up till this week because I thought we were trying to I know all wrong. I am going to ask my attorney that since the mediation paperwork is done, could she back off it if I expose tomorrow? If he said it is signed and no backing off, I will expose to wife and employer. If he said it might be an issue, I would expose after the D is final. I know I did all the wrong things, rug sweep, no boundaries, and I know the best thing is to be rid of this woman, but I will not lie. It still hurts. I have exposed to WW family back in the summer. And all I got was WW needs help. I have not heard from them since, not even a call to see how my D is doing. So I have said duck them. I know I need to expose but want to make sure the mediation papers are binding, cannot be changed. To be honest, I do have tiny hope that we can stop this and I hate myself for this. Why should I want to stay with a woman that cheats and even worse, gives me false hope with a fake R and puts me back emotionally where I was back in the summer. D is 8, married for 10 years this past December. I left a couple of parts of my story out. Back in October, we get into a big fight, a lot of yelling, pushing, and shoving. WW scratches my face up pretty good the whole time I am yelling stop hitting me. What she did not know was that I had my VAR recording the whole thing. We were loud, that the neighbors call the police. When the police get here, they separate us and ask what is going on. I tell the police we were getting a divorce and that I had recorded the whole fight. The cop listens to the VAR and they take her away for assault. So now she has a case for D violence. During the fake R, WW tells me that the OM business partners have found out about the affair and they are suing him because he has given WW money. And they fear that they will lose business with my WW company because of the affair. So, I think the fake R was to get me to stop the affair to help them with their cases. Just want to say to everyone, exposure is going to happen. I already have the emails written and sitting in my draft folder. I just want to make sure of the timing and cover myself as much as I can. Talked to my lawyer today by phone and filled him in on everything that has happened this past week. He confirmed that the agreement me and WW is binding. The only thing me and WW did not agree on was court cost. She has agreed to cover 30%. My lawyer of course want to go to trial to get 100%. No guarantee that I will get it, and if I do not, I'm out all the extra court cost. Does not seem like it is a risk I should take and I told him so. He did let me know that other man's partner's lawyers had contacted him and they asked if we would give them any evidence. We have to help them in their case. This is very tempting. Could get the exposure to other man's I want and have the other lawyer do it for me. Think we would better believe it coming from a law firm than someone she does not know just sending her an email or calling her out of the blue. When I mentioned exposure to WW job, he said let us wait for the D to be final and then let everyone know. He is going to contact my WW lawyer tomorrow to let her know we want to end this as fast as we can, and he wants me to call him in the afternoon to see where we stand. Okay, nothing major to report, just want to write my thoughts down. WW and I have only communicating with text and only about D Thursday she sent me this. Her, hey, I want to pick up D from daycare this evening, okay? Also, I told her a while back that I would take her to the Valentine's dance tomorrow, and I still do. We already have plans for tonight, but you can call her tonight and let her know about the dance, or I can tell her. Her, until this divorce finalized, we need to set up a schedule. You cannot keep her from me. I am not keeping her from you. I did not hear from you and I made plans for me and D. If you wanted to, you could have called and let me know. Her, I am calling her at 6 today. I am picking her up at 5 tomorrow. Before anyone asks, exposure is happening this Thursday. I'm dealing with some work issues I had to deal with, and to be honest, I just need a couple of days to get myself mentally ready for it. So, as I said before, we are supposed to tell D about the divorce. We left it as this weekend, but now I see we did not set when. As of now, I have not heard anything back from WW. Right now, I am just torn apart. I can accept that the M is over, but the hurt is just so intense. I know I must let her go, but the nagging of why she did this is still haunting me. WW finally got back to me. She asked when I want to tell D. I said now. She then goes on to say she wants to do it in a public place because she does not want to be along with me. I tell her that I want my D to find out that what she sees as her family is over in her home. WW then says, you must stop thinking you are primary, and she now has 2 homes. I also want to take her to the appointment to show her new room. I tell her I never thought I had primary, and tell her I wish you would stop thinking she will be fine. This is what she has kept saying since D-Day. I also don't think showing her your appointment on the same day we tell her this is a good idea. WW then says, her feeling safe is going to be us being civil and not angry with each other. I am willing to come to the house, but I want to take her to the appointment after. You can come also. I reply, I am done. I want to tell D in the only home she has known. Let me know what time you will be here and I can meet you outside to discuss what we will tell her. No reply after that. What is wrong with this woman? So, an update. This past set, we told D about the divorce. To see the fear in my little girl's eyes destroyed me. We comfort her as much as we could. I gave her a hug, and when her head was in my chest, I could not hold back the tears. I looked up at my WW and she did not have even one tear coming down. This morning I had all my expose email up on my screen and I must have stared at that send button for an hour. And then I said duck her, and pressed the button. Unfortunately, the OMW email address must have been old because it bounced back. I printed the email and a couple copies of some of the pics and went to the post office and mailed it to OMW. I made sure to have it sent restricted delivery, meaning she is the only one who can sign for it. ETA for her getting it is tomorrow. I sent emails to WW aunt, sister-in-law, best friend, and her job. For her job, I sent it her director and CC the VP of HR and the CEO of the company. So far, I have not heard anything from anyone. So I guess it is wait and see. So, it is the end of the day and I have not heard back from anyone. Do not care about her family or friend, but was hoping something would have happened at her job. STBXW has texted a couple of times to discuss visitation but has said nothing about be talked to about my email. So of course, my head is spinning with are they just going to ignore it as just crazy talk from an angry husband? It seems things at her job are in motion. Send STBX an email, discussing payment of bills and to tell her to get her stuff and pets from my house. She answers a couple of things but not others. I replied I needed answers to all the items. Her reply, in light of recent developments yesterday, I am discussing some serious issues with my attorney right now. I know it is just scare tactics, but it does have me thinking. So yesterday I get an email from STBXW saying that she wanted to come over on Friday to pack her stuff and then said she would remove all of it. She said a friend of ours would let Dee stay the night today and then Friday to Friday and would take Dee to STBXW job since they are doing a shoot and they were cast as extras. Background: other man and STBXW met at work and spent a lot of time together in her office. I told STBXW that since I wanted to have this move as fast as possible, I would let Dee go to the sleepover in her job, but going forward, when it was my time with Dee, she would not go back to her office. Well, today I get an email from her stating that she would get her stuff after all our divorce paperwork was signed. I told her fine, she would still need to pay her part of Dee things and that since she changed plans, there was no need for Dee to go to her office and that I would pick up Dee in the morning after the sleepover. Her reply: that's thoughtful of you that you will intentionally disappoint her. I did not reply to this. I cannot take this woman any longer. She puts me in a situation where she wants me to let my DD be with her in the same place. She carrying on her affair. I say okay at first just to have her get her crap out of my house. She changes plans last minute. And then she tries to guilt me about not letting DD go to her affair meetup place. So now I get a text from friend. Hey OP, don't you have work tomorrow? We really like DD company and would love to spend the day with her tomorrow. Now to let everyone know this friend is DD's teacher. I have not exposed STBXW to her because I wanted to keep my DD school life away from this as much as I could. But it is clear to me that STBXW is talking up a heavy negative campaign against me. I think it is time to let the teacher know the true reason why I am divorcing STBXW. So I had a bad morning. DD was crying about how she is missing her mom. I give her hugs and tell her that we both love her and that she will see her soon. I try to explain that while things are going to be a little different, that me and her mom will always be here for her. DD answer, yeah, but I won't have you both at the same time. Seeing DD sad is killing me. It took everything I had to not call STBX and ripping into her. So later in the day I get an email from STBX asking if she could take DD out for dinner tonight. It is my week and she has already had her midweek time with DD, so I could just have said no. But after this morning with DD I could not do it and told her yes. What hurts the most is, while me and DD are left to pick up the pieces of what used to be our family, STBX is going about her life like everything is great. So, after some thinking, I've decided not to let DD have dinner with STBX. I was in pain thinking about how DD was saying she missed her mother this morning, but I must accept that I am not the one who is the cause of this hurt. I also see now that DD must get used to what her new life will be like. Cannot have STBX change schedules at last minute whenever she wants. Not good for DD. Maybe down the road we might get to a point where we can talk about extra time here and there for special times, but right now, it is not doable. Well, just back, told STBX that after thinking about it, DD needs structure in what is her new life. So I changed my mind about letting her have dinner with you. She just said okay and walked away. So, some updates. STBXW called yesterday and said that I had changed the insurance policy and removed her old car but did not add her new one. She got a new lease while she had me in the fake car. I reminded her that our mediation paperwork stated I just had to keep the insurance on her old car until the lease ended in Jan. She ignored this and sent me part of the temp order to show I had to keep the insurance until the divorce was final. She seems to not get that the mediation supersedes the temp order. She goes on to tell me that she talked to her lawyer and that I was in violation and that if I did not put it back, she would get her lawyer to call mine. I said, please do, and that she had till the morning to get new insurance since I would be removing it from mine. I called my lawyer just to make sure I was right and he said I was. Called my insurance company in the morning to remove her new car and I was told that only my car was on the policy. I asked her to check and see if there were any changes in the last week and she told me the only change was when I called to remove STBXW old car. I asked her to remove STBXW as a user on the policy to stop her from making any future changes and thanked her. Has no idea why STXW would lie about any of this since she had to know I would find out. It's just nuts. Also just came back from my first midweek visit with DD. Took her to dinner and had a great time, but it hurt so much after I dropped her off knowing I would not see her for another 4 days. Do not know how I am going to be able to do this for the next 5 to 6 years. So, I was able to find piece of crap wife's sister Facebook page and I sent her a message letting her know what was going on and my contact info to give her sister if she wanted to talk to me. Hope she does. So far nothing has happened, that I know of, with STBXW job and none of the friends, family have gotten back to me. This last shot with the sister is the end of me exposing. Now as far as working on me, little things. Finally got my garage door that has been broken since Nav fixed. No more parking outside. STBXW came and got her dog. No more walking it. Started going back to the gym. So far since this nightmare has begun, I've lost 40 pounds, most from not eating well. But now I'm doing it right by going to the gym. Have started going out with old friends that I have lost touch with. Bigger thing. Got a call from my director today and he informed me that I will be promoted to a new position in the upcoming month. His position will of course pay more, but more importantly will let me be able to telecommute a couple of days a week. So, I guess little by little things are getting better. I am doing better. Been hanging out with friends on the days I do not have my daughter with me. When she is with me, spend time having fun with her and making sure she is keeping up with schoolwork. As far as STBSW, duck her. I've gotten to the point that the only time I think about her is to think how fast I can get her out of my life. I am thinking spending time doing things for me has helped a lot. I now see my life is going to be okay. Don't get me wrong, I'm still sad thinking about my daughter not having a full family, but I will be the family she needs. So STBSW was supposed to come over today to get some of her stuff and her cat. Sent me an email telling me she would be here around 8. Got another email around 9 telling me she got tied up getting things ready for DD at her appointment and she would not be able to come over tonight but could come in the morning before 9 to get her stuff and the cat. This is now a pattern of hers, makes plans and then changes them last minute and thinks I should just be okay with it and wait around for her. I just got an email from STBX stating that she needs to travel for work on the week of the 15th. Being this is her week to have our D, she is asking if she could keep D next week with me having more than the one midweek visit to see her and that I then take her the week of the 15th. So here is my problem. STBXW has always put her job ahead of our family and it seems to be continuing. Her option of me not having D for 2 weeks is not going to happen, but I feel since we are now 2 single parents, she needs to work things out on her own to make sure her job does not interfere with D's time. I have not emailed her back yet, but the 2 options I can think of are: 1. Tell her sorry I have made plans for that week and cannot change them. Concern is she will just leave D with someone else. 2. Tell her that I will take D on the week before the 15th, my scheduled week and also the week of the 15th and the week after. But give her extra visit that week to see D. Since it would mean more time with D, I am leaning towards option number 2, but I do not want STBXW to continue to make her own plans with the thought that I will change everything to suit her. So, an update, sent soon to be X an email telling her that I was not okay with not having our D for 2 weeks. So I proposed that I take her for my week, the week she had to travel and that she could have extra midweek visits. I sent this email late on a Friday night. Early Saturday morning I get a reply saying to forget it, that she has made other arrangements. I find it odd that from Friday night to Saturday morning, she was able to change business travel plans. So I remind her that if she is still traveling, that per the agreement, I have first right of refusal and that I am not refusing to have our D that week. She replies back that she knows what the agreement states and she hoped that I would help her out since someday I would need the same. A little background before the next point. One of the things she wants to take is the home computer. I am fine with that and tell her that she can have it, but I will need to delete all my stuff and any software that was installed from my job. This was agreed to about 3 months ago. So, I deleted my account and all work software. Problem is I thought I had a copy of all my data on a laptop, but come to find out I did not. Today get an email from STBX stating that she needs a copy of our return from last year and her W-2. Won't get into the fact that she waits for the day before the deadline. So here what comes next. I cannot find a paper copy of the return and all I have is the W-2. I will give it to you tonight. X, you have a copy of them on the computer, just print it out. As we agreed to 3 months ago, I have deleted my account and software from the computer. X, so, you are telling me you delete the tax return. I find that hard to believe. How are you going to file your return without them? I'm telling you I delete all my documents. I lost a lot of important things, not just the returns. I filled for an extension with the IRS to give me time to get my paperwork in order. X, I really wish that you were not so determined to make things as difficult and miserable for me as possible. Wow, she leaves me and our daughter for over a month last year to have fun with other man. She is the one who is still with other man. She is the one that had me believe in a fake R for over 2 months. But I am the one who is making her life miserable. So as expected, got nothing but the silent treatment from STBX and I gave her the same back. Today I get an email from her stating she needs daughter numbers today. I ignore the email. An hour later I get a text saying the same thing. I answer and tell her that I am at work and do not carry daughter's social card with me. I will call my HR department and see if they have it. I then log into my benefits page and see that the number was there. I wait 3 hours and then send it to her. Do I get a thank you? Nope, just more silence. Called my lawyer today to get a state of the divorce. He was in a trail so I could not talk to him. Feel it is time I light a fire under him to get this done. So a while after all this started, decided I would join meetup groups just to get out of the house to do stuff and meet new people. A couple of weeks ago I get an email from a woman in one of the meetup groups that happened to be from my home state just to say she saw I was from the same state as her and just wanted to say hi. We start sending email back and forth and we find out that we lived in the building right next to each other growing up. We start also find out that we now live only 10 minutes from each other. What are the odds? So, email leads to texting and then phone calls. One call lasted over 4 hours. We both agree it would be nice to meet for a drink or dinner sometime. But she was going to Vegas this week so we decide to meet on the 12th. This past Saturday night we talk on the phone for a bit. In this call I tell her what's going on in my life. Going through a D, papers are filed, STBX, and I do not speak unless it is about our daughter. Made it clear that there is 0 chance of us are, but that I am not looking to start a new relationship now. She says she understands since she went through a D years ago and knows how it is. Sunday morning get a text from her saying she did not want to wait till the 12th to meet up and if I had time, would I have dinner with her that night? I said sure, must drop off my D to the STBX at 5 and should be free after 6. So we set up a meeting at a restaurant for 6:30. We get to the restaurant and just start enjoying our meals and talking. Then the waitress comes to the table and says sorry to interrupt, but we are closing in 10 minutes. I look up and see we are the only ones left and that we have been talking for almost 3 hours. Pay the check, walk to my car, and we get in, talk for about another hour in the car, kiss goodnight. Walk her to her car and we both drive away. Now I am not looking to jump into anything right away, and I made sure to let her know this. But it was sure nice to spend time with a woman and forget about my issue for one night. Oh, on a side note, when I dropped off my daughter to STBX, I looked over at her and she was wearing my college t-shirt that I got her from one of the last trips we made home and visited my old campus. I did not mention anything about it, gave daughter a hug, and just got back in my car and drove away. So, I'm beginning to think STBXW is running into money issues. We have a tax bill that must be paid on the 15th of every month. Last month STBXW did not put in her half into the shared account, making the account become overdrawn. I sent her an email to let her know that due to her not putting in the money, the account was now overdrawn and that she needed to deposit her half of the tax bill and pay the overdraft fees. She made the deposit the next day. This month the same thing happened, so I sent her the same email I did last month. As of today, she has not made a deposit into the account or sent me a reply to my email. We have to pay RD daycare every week. What we do is the week either of us have RD, that parent pays the daycare. Daycare must be paid by WEDS or a $25 late fee gets charged. This is STBXW week, so it is her turn to pay. Yesterday I picked D up from daycare since it was my day for our midweek visit. I check the account and see that STBXW has not paid for the week. When I get daughter in the car and start driving, she says, "Daddy, Mommy had to go to court on her birthday. STBXW birthday was this past Monday." I say, "Really?" She says, "Yeah, she had to go because of something about her car insurance." To make daughter not worry, I tell her I am sure it was something small or a mistake. What I really think the case is, since I removed STBXW from my policy, I think she either has not gotten insurance or has missed payments. So, get an email today from STBXW telling me that she signed up RD for a kid divorce group at church. But the thing is, the group meets on Tuesday and she, STBXW, has signed up for consoling. She said this in the past, so not sure if it's true. Hope it is. On the same day, and was wonder if I would mind taking D to her group and she would pick her up at the end. I replied, "I do not have an issue taking her the weeks she is with you, but you should have told me prior to signing her up for this class. Going forward, anything involving D should be discussed by both parents. Thank you." Her reply, "It was nothing intentional. I had heard that the class filled up and closed once it reached capacity. I wanted to go ahead and sign her up to reserve her a spot. She does not know about it yet, as I was waiting to tell you about it first. I would have never actually taken her to the class prior to you knowing. If you do not think it is a good idea, let me know. I do think it would be good for her though, and I appreciate you being able to get her there on the Tuesdays during the weeks that I have her." No reply forms me. This is the first time she has answered me in this tone, no yelling or blame shifting. I think she finally is beginning to see that she will need to respect me as we go forward as co-parents. So, me and new friend are getting along good. She had to travel for business this week and we have spent a lot of the week texting each other. She even mentioned she got something for me and is excited to come back and see me. Now here is my problem. I like her and like the time I am spending with her. But for some reason I have the nagging thought. Am I going to fast? Do I really like her, or do I like the positive attention I am getting from a woman? Now, before anyone asks, there is zero chance of me in STBXR. So that is not an issue, and like I posted before, I told new friend my situation on our first meeting. We have only been talking for about a month, so maybe I am just overthinking this and I should just let things happen and enjoy our time together. Strange being back in the dating world after almost 15 years. So, send STBX an email reminding her of all the bills she has not paid, and this is the reply I got back. "When you make decisions with intent to do damage to me, such as neglecting to tell me the date that you were going to cancel the car insurance, you need to consider how this financially impacts you. A simple email or text telling me the date that the insurance would no longer be effective was all that you needed to do. When I am forced to pay $1,000 out of pocket for impound fees, tag cancellation fees, court fees, and fine fees, it affects things. But congratulations, you wanted to hit me financially. You won. I hope that gives you the victory you were looking for and makes you happy." My reply, "Sorry you feel that way. Let me know when you will make the deposit to pay for the outstanding shared bills." Amazing. She is still the victim and everything is my fault. So just got this email. I will pick up daughter at daycare on Friday, since I will have her for 3 consecutive weekends. Let me know if you would like to see her in addition to the regular Wednesday night. I have no issue with that. It may be good for her. My simple reply, "I would like that. Thank you." First email, "Thank you for being understand and driving and picking up D at church on my weeks." Second email, "You ruined my life. You win." Third, "You can have extra visit days." All this in a span of a day. She really needs help. Update. So, send STBXW my monthly email letting her she has not paid the shared bills, and this is the reply I got back. I hear you. Yes, I know I owe daycare and the taxes. It is going to have to wait until Friday. I hope that one day you will be able to forgive me, to be able to have a conversation with me about daughter to my face because you realize it is in her best interests. And perhaps you cannot discuss her as if she is a business item. I am sorry for what I did. I truly am. And like I said, I do hope that one day you would be able to forgive me. I know your heart and I know what it is capable of. It is much larger than you give it credit for. Really, I sent no reply. But what was going through my mind was know what's best for D8 is to have a mother who is not a cheat and has no remorse for destroying the family of 4 kids and 2 BS. And Friday came and went and she has not paid the bills. Oh well, no need to think of it. Divorce is final on June 27th. Almost a year later, divorce was finalized on July 1st. I went back home with D8 for a 4th of July vacation. 13 hours in a car with a daughter. Anyway, I was driving around on the morning of July 2nd. And while at a light I checked the courthouse webpage and found out I was divorced since the prior day. Kind of strange, had no feeling of joy, just more of a, guess I'm single now. Since then, life has moved on. X is still seeing herself as the victim and that I'm out to get her. I ignore her in anything that does not involve my D8. Me and my lady friend are doing good. She even helped me at Christmas with shopping for daughter. On a bad note, X did not pay the half of the debt she owed. All the debt was in my name and I had to file for bankruptcy. I could have fought the ex in court, but at the end of the day it would have been more legal fees that I could not afford. Sucks to take the hit, but I am sure I will climb out of it and have a clean start. Life is not great, but it is good and getting better. My comment: you guys like this full story? You can always make a difference in your life.
Alright, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick? Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my 2nd year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked. We could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, I'm thirsty. Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children, with zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job, having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit any time, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. "Nick! What's wrong?" Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself, had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, get his boss here immediately. It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. What is that idiot doing? All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next. Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you. I obediently followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was, as the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize. Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. What kind of training are you giving your subordinates? Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed. I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their inn. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? I'm very sorry. Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, "I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong." Mike, what have you done? Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. "I didn't do anything wrong." "You're still saying that? Look at him." Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. "I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract?" Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. "Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go." Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. "Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him." There's no way he was pushed aside. "Don't make things worse here." "He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he?" I don't remember that part." I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? Filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you've failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.